Hello and welcome to Rando Tech Info. So recently LG announced its newest flagship device, the V60 5G. Now, a lot of people are going to dismiss this device because it's LG, but this actually has flagship quality specs, some things that other phones actually don't have, that particularly other flagships don't have, and it's more reasonably priced. If you look at that along with some of the other phones in LG's staple right now that they're offering to people, the big question I have to ask is, why not LG? First, a little history. LG used to be a smartphone powerhouse. The G3 was a well-received device, reviewed very well, people really liked it. But then the G4 and the G5 were a bit disappointing, and LG's never really recovered from that. But I would say that in 2020, they have recovered, maybe not from a sales perspective, but they have recovered and are putting out good phones again. We're going to talk about three of those phones specifically today. And the first of those phones we're going to talk about today is the G8 ThinQ. This is last year's flagship from LG, but it's still a solid device. It has a very sharp and bright 6.1-inch display, an 855 Snapdragon processor, a very competent camera system, complete with an ultra-wide, 6 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage, an IP68 water and dust resistance rating, all of the things you would expect to find in a 2019 flagship. In addition, it has some nice features that other flagship phones don't have. For example, no camera hump. It has a flat back, so it actually lays nice on flat surfaces. I know, very novel in 2020. It also has a headphone jack, which is even more novel for a flagship in 2020, with a high-quality DAC to keep all of the audio files out there happy. The biggest issue with this phone when it came out last year was not the phone itself. Most people said the phone was pretty good, but its $800 price tag people felt was a little bit high. It was competing with the big dogs, and it wasn't quite as good as some of those other devices. But today you can get this phone unlocked brand new on Amazon for $499. That's a pretty good deal. If you're willing to get one renewed on Amazon through their used renewed electronic device program, you can get one for under $270. $270. That's pretty crazy, and it's unlocked. You can use it on any carrier. If you're willing to go with a carrier-specific version of the phone, there's even cheaper versions of the phone right now. That's under $300. That's a budget phone price. That is a flagship spec'd phone for a budget phone price. And I would argue that there's not really a better deal out there right now, bang for your buck, than the LG G8 ThinQ. So I know what you're thinking to yourself. You're thinking, yeah, the G8 looks like a good value, but it's got a small screen, which 6.1 screen seeming small seems kind of crazy. But in 2020, that's the reality. There's nothing special about that phone. There's nothing that stands out about that phone. I don't want it. I hear you. And if you fall into that camp, then maybe the G8X is the phone that you're looking for. So the G8X is actually very similar to the G8, except it has a 6.4-inch screen, not a 6.1-inch screen. It does have basically all the same specs as the regular G8. However, there is one critical difference. It has a second screen. It has a case that you can buy and snap on the thing that will power a second screen that is connected to the first screen by a hinge, so it opens up like a book. This second screen can be used for a variety of things, such as gaming, texting, multitasking. There are different productivity tools that you can use with this second screen, and it all comes in with the second screen included at under $650, $649.99. That's kind of crazy. Once again, you're getting a dual screen device. You're getting more total inches of screen than you're getting with a lot of these super expensive foldable devices, and you're getting it for under $650. Now, some caveats to this. It is only running Pi. It's not running Android 10 as of right now, and it does not have a high refresh rate. But I would argue that high refresh rates right now are a little overrated, and I'll explain why. First off, I did a video about 60 hertz versus 90 hertz refresh rate where I tested myself and my son to see if we could tell the difference. You can watch that video here. Actually, it'll show up over here. Yeah, if you want to watch that video. I'm not saying that everybody can't tell the difference between 60 hertz and 90 hertz refresh rates, but I certainly can't tell the difference. And I'm willing to bet that a lot of you out there won't really be able to tell the difference either. I'm not bagging on higher refresh rates. I understand some people can definitely tell. People like MKBHD love it. They'll tell you that once you go to a high refresh screen, you'll never want to go back to another. But I would argue that while higher refresh rates do make phones feel faster, it doesn't actually make them faster. It's just how they feel. And it's only when you're scrolling around and doing things with the phone's UI or when you're in your app drawer. Most games cannot take advantage of high refresh rates yet. They still cap out at 60 frames per second. Most video streaming services don't go above 60 frames per second. YouTube does not go over 60 frames. So while it's a cool feature and it sounds neat, I really don't feel like it's entirely practical yet. It's not something that you can use with a whole lot of different things yet. So if you want to pay the extra money for high refresh, I get it. One of the reasons I bought my 7T last year was because of its higher refresh rate. But as it turns out, I can't really tell the difference, and I don't really know that the hit on the battery life is even worth it at this point. Like I said, if you want the higher refresh, this is probably something you're not going to want to look at. But if you can look past that, this is a pretty good deal for the money as of right now. But even still, even if you're saying, I don't want a last year flagship, I don't want last year specs, second screen or not, I want the latest and greatest, well, LG still has something for you. They've got the V60 5G. So the V60 ThinQ 5G is LG's newest flagship. It's their 2020 flagship, and it is spec'd as such. It has a 6.8-inch display. It has 4 mics, which is great for audio recording, especially for creators, with voice bokeh, so it can zoom in on particular sounds if you want to do that. It has 8K video recording. It has 5G. It once again, the early reviews of the camera system say that the camera is really good. It's very competent. It does good video and good pictures. It has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, the same as the S20 Ultra. It has the 865 Snapdragon, 8 gigs of RAM. Once again, it has no high refresh rate, but it does have a headphone jack. Yes, a flagship phone in 2020 with a headphone jack along with a high quality DAC for the audio files. When compared to the Ultra, this phone, with the exception, like I said, of the high refresh rate, this phone measures up very well. And oh yeah, by the way, this also has a second screen attachment as well. So if you want to get this phone and rock the dual screens, you can do that. So you would have 2 6.8-inch screens on this device. That is a whole lot of screen, and it's especially a lot of screen for the money. So if you get this phone without the second screen, you should be able to get this from some carriers for around $800. If you want the second screen, it's going to cost you about $900. Now these are carrier priced devices. We're not exactly sure what the unlocked version of this phone will cost, but still, that's when you compare that to the S20 Plus and the S20 Ultra, that's a pretty good deal. This has a 6.8-inch screen compared to the Ultra 6.9-inch screen, so very similar there. The screen quality is going to be very comparable. I said the big difference is going to be it's missing that high refresh rate, but in exchange for that, you're saving $500 or $600 and you're getting a headphone jack. I'm not saying that this phone is better than what Samsung's offering right now or what some other people are offering. That's always subjective and it depends what you're looking for in a phone. But I definitely think for the money and for what you get, this phone is definitely worth a look. So LG in 2020 has phones, flagship spec phones, at basically every price point and at a variety of sizes. If you are interested in one of these phones, there are a lot of in-depth reviews out there, especially about the G8 and the G8X. If you want to look at those and see if those are worth looking at for you. The V60 is a little newer. There's some unboxings and some early thoughts about those phones, but nobody's done an in-depth review of that phone yet. Nobody's had their hands on them long enough to do that, but I'm sure those reviews will be coming out in the next few days. Don't take my word on any of this stuff. Go out there, watch the videos, look at the reviews, make your own decision. I'm not telling you to go out and buy an LG phone. I'm not associated or affiliated with LG in any way. I'm simply saying I think in 2020 they have some compelling options and they are definitely worth a look. So anyway, that's all the information I have for today. If you would consider buying an LG phone in 2020, please mention that down in the comments. Or if there's no way you would buy an LG phone in 2020, mention that down there too. Share your thoughts with others so they can benefit from them. As always, I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching, and until next time, this is Rando Tech Info, signing out.